Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our MSW first year student support group. How are you this week?
Making
Good.
it okay.
Yeah, doing all right? Good. I wanted to start with a little icebreaker to kind of get us going and get back in the groove of things. So I came up with this one. I actually found it. It's not, I didn't invent it or anything, but imagine that you are on death row and that you're going to get your last meal. What would your last meal be? Anything you want.
I would be, I'm sorry, go ahead, Nadine.
No. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I think I'd probably get something that I'd never tried before. Just because otherwise, obviously, up until that point, like it's not something I would have wanted to try or been too scared to try. Like, if I don't like it, oh well. Like, I'm not gonna remember not liking it.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's a good point. Any ideas of what that might be?
I don't know. Like, I've seen like in other parts of the world, in other countries, there's a lot of different cuisine and different animals that are eaten and different insects. So maybe something crazy like that if they'd allow it. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you. Keely, how about you?
I would probably go with a massive breakfast food spread because breakfast food is my favorite food.
I like breakfast too. Joey?
I got a legit smile on my face thinking about this. I'm a big food guy. I would do, so I don't know if you know this, but with the Italians, chicken parmesan wasn't the original, like it's eggplant parmesan, and my grandma used to make like the original stuff. So I would have eggplant parmesan with an anapasta salad with bruschetta and a Yingling beer, and if they wouldn't give me the beer, then like a nice glass ice cold iced tea. And then that would be my last meal.
I like it. That's a good. Well, I would pick a huge king crab. All you can eat with a whole bunch of butter. So, and I have to have dessert. And since I am diabetic and I don't usually get to eat a lot of dessert, I would eat something with a lot of sugar in it because it wouldn't matter if it killed me because I'm going to die anyway. So my last
That's actually a good point. I'm lactose intolerant, so I might just do like a big ass bowl of ice cream.
Sounds good to me. All right. Last week we started when Nadine was facilitating, we talked about some group rules and our norms, and I just wanted to review those again and ask if anybody has anything additional that they would like to add. We previously covered respecting each other's point of view and feeling free and safe to contribute in this group, and remembering that each person has a unique and valuable contribution to this group. And confidentiality is a must, and what is said in this group stays in this group. Does that sound about right, what we talked about last week? Is there anything you would like to add that maybe we forgot?
I think that covers it.
Okay. All right. So the topic this week is, how are you balancing your personal life with schoolwork? So I would love to hear from all of you, how that's going. Are there any concerns, problems, anything? So Keely, why don't we start with you?
I have a huge list of concerns. No, I'm just
This is
actually
a place to share.
So actually this week we kind of went ahead and made a decision that I'm not going to work next school year, which has just been a massive weight off my shoulders. I didn't even realize how much it was like putting stress on me because I only work part-time. It's like 20 hours a week, and it's a really easy, good job that I like. But just going from the 4 classes we had last semester to the 5 classes this semester has been like overwhelming.
Right.
And so we kind of talked about it this week and went ahead and decided that, I need that extra 20 hours a week. So I would say the balancing personal life and school is improving.
Just the anticipation of
Yeah.
knowing that next year will be a little bit lighter for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Anybody else have a similar experience to Keely as far as juggling work? Joey, you work full time, right?
Yeah, I do.
So how's that going for you?
Yeah, so I'll share this with you guys. So I'm kind of going through like a moral dilemma right now, like being in this program. I've kind of had like a come to Jesus moment, and I'm thinking / debating on wanting to do law. And the University of Pittsburgh does a joint MSW program / JD program that you can do in 5 years, and you walk away with your JD and your MSW.
Wow.
And that would take a lot, and I don't really want to transfer because, one, I like the program and I like the professors, and two, I like paying in state. And I don't, and it's kind of like I'm not a big kind of minute type of person, but I don't know, like I've just got like this internal debate going on in me that's stressing me the hell out, because it's like, if I want to commit to this, I might as well just rip that Band-Aid off and do it now and just full dive into a new program and all of that. Because like I don't want to finish this year, next year, and then do 3 years of like law school. And then but again, like this would all have to happen so quickly. Like I'd have to take my LSAT like super quick and all that, and I don't want to rush it and stuff. So like that's just something that I'm debating at like internally. So that's been stressing me out, and I've needed to get that off my chest because I haven't told anyone that yet. And then also like my personal life, I'm very grateful that I live like with one of my childhood best friends. Like he's my roommate and we work together. So like I have somewhat of a personal life through my job and my home life, which is super awesome, because like when I was still living with my parents, I had you can tell I'm Italian because I'm talking with my hands. I had no like actual personal life because I lived out in North Pole, had to drive into Fairbanks, go to work, drive out North Pole, get to class, do internships. So like living with a friend and like having to like have that time to hang out and stuff has been like actually really like, I'm gonna just say therapeutic, because I missed like having that social life, like someone to sit down, have a beer with, just hang out, take the like stresses out of life.
Wow. I'm glad that you feel comfortable sharing that news with us.
Yeah, I would probably say it's gonna be like a 90-10. I stay at UAA to going to leave, because I don't want to leave, but like I needed to like just kind of hear myself say it out loud, because it is something that I do want to do, but I just don't think it would just be feasible. And I think that just finishing this program and then trying to maybe get into law school would be the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. So
and then that way I can use the MSW to work and then potentially still be in law school, but that sounds like hell. So I probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah. It sounds like it's about the same length of time. Did I get that right? So it would be 5 years regardless of which way you went.
4 if you do a joint. So like I would be able, because from what I've looked at, is your first 2 years in a joint program is the MSW program anyways. I don't understand really how you get away with that third year. But again, like like 90-10 type of thing. Like I just needed to say it out loud to someone, so I don't like, I'm not just internalizing it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you've got a lot of things to think about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But financially and just like responsibility wise and loving the school and like the program I'm in right now is what's wanting me to be here. And I'm a big believer, and I know I'm hogging all the time. I feel really bad. I've needed this though.
That's all right.
I lost track of what I was gonna say. But like financially and then just time wise, like I want to be here still. Like, I just don't want to make, like, I was going to say I'm a big believer in, like, God, and I feel like things are going to work out no matter what. Like, his plan's going to be what happens anyway. So if I stay here and finish the program, and then whatever happens next is what is meant to happen. So that's why, like, I keep focusing on, but we're all human, and I continue to stress about it anyways.
It sounds like you might be happy with whatever decision you make. You'll make the best of it.
Yeah, for sure. It'll definitely be thought out.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts for Joey or feedback for him?
I was going to say that one of my friends is actually going through the law program in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, he was a teacher out in the village, and he really likes it. So if that persuades you one way or the other.
and he's doing the social work combined with
No, he's not.
Just
No.
law school. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But it sounds like it is one of those things where you kind of take a step back, like, is this what I really want to do? And it's hard to just shut that down completely.
Yeah, it's like
You don't want to think about the option.
Yeah, such a big decision I don't want to make, like, rashly, like, and I'm more than content in this program. So, like, that's the other thing too. Like, if I was miserable here, like, I would have that LSAT book on my bed right now, like, just studying, like, and that's another thing. I want to do it right, and I want to take my time. And I feel like talking about this out loud with you guys, like, kind of really helping me, like, make up my mind that I do want to stay in this program. And then maybe it's meant to be that I just do law school afterwards or do something else.
That's a good point, Joey, but I'm wondering if you are really content in this program, if you actually started looking at another program. What brought up the law school combination?
I know Mary Dallas is going to see that. The only reason I started looking at another program is because I got interested in the law school, not because I was interested in another MSW program.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to leave, which is probably not going to happen, it would only be to do a joint law school program, not to go to another MSW program.
I'm just curious if something's missing and that you want a different part, or did somebody talk about law school that got you thinking about it?
Actually, it's going to sound crazy. Our policy class, our policy class got me like, you know what? I kind of enjoy this art stuff. And I really
We're all adults.
Yeah. Okay, because sometimes I swear in class and sometimes I don't. And sorry. Anyways. Yeah, the policy class is definitely kind of and then what was actually really cool is in my internship, I go to court all the time, and I get to sit and talk with the guardian ad litem and a lot of other people who have gone to law school, and I'm just like, oh wow, I could actually kind of envision myself doing that. And I'm not saying what the MSW people do is not important, and it's just I feel like they have a little bit more authority. But that being said, I don't really get to shadow the MSW person at my internship. I'm always with field workers, and that's kind of a frustration I actually have in my internship, because I actually have no idea what the MSW person does at OCS. I really don't. I've probably shadowed her for an hour in my entire thing. I'm always with the supervisor of IA and family services, which and it's not really about the degree. It's just saying say if I was to graduate, get the MSW, and then go work for OCS and have my supervisor's position, I would have absolutely no idea what to do. Not even in the slightest.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing it. I can see where you would come up with a law degree after being in court and having an interest in that. So while you're contemplating possibly another program, Keely's made some steps of kind of downsizing a little bit her responsibilities next year. So it's quite a contrast. You're thinking about taking on more. She's thinking about taking on less. Nadine, I'm curious to see what do you have going on?
A lot. Just a lot of personal family stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned in the other class, dealing with my brother's death. I come from a huge family. I had 4 brothers, but there were 8 of us. And being the only really functioning adult, as like is how I view myself out of my siblings. I've taken a lot of personal responsibility for family members, and so that's been really tough. And trying to keep boundaries and the balance between helping and learning to set boundaries again. So that's been a huge time suck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm finally starting to feel better after 3 weeks of being really sick. And so that was really tough, like, because my brain was like mush. I don't know how I was functioning in any of the classes up until now.
Mm-hmm.
And then my kids have been sick as well. Pretty sick, and my daughter's had surgery, and my son goes in for his pre-op tomorrow. So it's a lot of personal family health stuff that's been going on. But like, I felt really healthy today, like really healthy compared to like how healthy I have been. And that still means like I still feel pretty shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But it just really encouraged me that things are finally, I think, maybe are going to start looking up. And I sat at my practicum, I sat in a room with all windows, so I got to be in the sunlight all day, and I think that helped too. Normally in my practicum, I'm either in like a computer room with no windows, or my supervisor's window is like literally this big, and so we're not getting any sunlight or anything.
So a little bit of light boost your mood some.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's a lot of just trying to juggle and figure out time, and working that into balancing school, studying, practicum, classes, making up practicum hours. Yeah.
So a lot of stress from the schoolwork itself, plus your practicum, and then your family is demanding a lot from you.
Yeah.
Has anybody?
Do you have someone you can lean on right now, like at home?
My husband's super great, and he's been a huge support, and him and I are able to discuss things really well. Like, he's not he's a very practical person, and so being able to like reflect with him and talk to him about a lot of the bigger issues has been really helpful. So it's been really nice.
Yeah.
That's good. Any of you, Keely or Joey, have you had any experience with a lot of family drama and having to set those boundaries? Maybe you could give Nadine some feedback.
So, Italian, like Catholic. My grandmother was Catholic. My mom was raised Catholic. So the reason I say that, it kind of goes hand in hand with big families. I don't want to, I know we just talked about this last class, and like I said, this is something I struggle with. I'm not trying to say I know how you feel, because I don't, and I don't want to invalidate that. But just I have been through an experience that was similar with losing my best friend when I was in high school, that I considered like a brother. And I just would say that that was probably one of the darker times in my life. So again, I don't know the best way of always going about this, and I don't want to say I know how you feel, but I have struggled with anxiety and depression and not eating and not sleeping. And I know how lonely and scary and dark that can feel. So I just want to let you know that if you ever need anything from me, or anything that I can do for you, just let me know and reach out, and I'll do the best I possibly can to help you out, just because I've been in a similar experience and I know how bad that effing hurts. So just let me know if there's anything possible that I can do for you at all.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's really nice. It's good that people do understand when we are going through difficult times, and so we don't feel quite so alone, even though at the time we think nobody else could possibly feel the way we're feeling. I'm sure, Nadine, you're probably going through a lot of feeling hurt over your your brother's passing, and then everybody in your family placing demands on you, and you've got this heavy load. And as you put it, you're the functioning one out of 8. And that's a huge load to carry. So I can imagine that you're really stressed. I'm so glad that you have your husband to support you. So that strength that you're relying on right now is really important.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Is there anybody
Sounds
else?
like a rock.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anybody else you have to lean on besides your husband?
Not necessarily. I mean, there are like people who've reached out to me, but I, of course, like I don't want to burden anybody with any of my issues or anything like that. I did reach out to, I talked with Professor Mead, and she was going to provide a link with some therapists that she would recommend that also provide telemed.
Nice.
So, because I've never done I've never done any counseling in the Valley here or anything like that. Then I know like all of the resources that I know and people that I know are good are Anchorage resources.
Okay. I actually could recommend somebody to you as well if you're interested
Sure.
in that. Yeah. So I can speak with you after class if you'd like, and I can give you a phone number of somebody that's really good here in the Valley.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know some of the local resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody that I've actually gone to from time to time when things get really overwhelming for me. He's a really good person to talk to, and he's been in practice for quite some time. So I find it helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Keely, how about you? You're a little quiet tonight. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah. Actually, I've been sick all weekend, so that's why my eyes are like puffy or whatever. But yeah, I would just say I have definitely dealt with the family stuff, maybe not in the same way that you have, Nadine, or you, Joey, with like the loss of a family member or a close friend. But like I mentioned before, my younger sister, she has really bad anxiety and PTSD as well from an experience that we both dealt with when we were younger. And it's very much a strain on our relationship. And just this weekend, like I got a phone call from her because something will happen at home. She'll call me, have her little say, and then I'll call my mom. And it's like, oh, what really happened, But this weekend was her episode that she had was pretty bad. And it ended up being, my fault because she, when you're in that position that she's in, your cognitive processing is just completely out of whack. And so you can't really reason. And so you kind of blame everyone else. So of course the whole situation ended up being my fault 5,000 miles away. But yeah, I think you just have to kind of love them through it. And like you were saying, Nadine, just like the boundaries, like you have to have those boundaries. That's so important for your sake and for your family member's sake as well.
I think your point of saying you have to love them through that, I think that's been something that I've always done. But to hear that out loud and to have that reminder that that's what I'm doing is helpful.
And it's hard. Like it's not something necessarily, but it's what you got to do.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's really hard to love somebody who's being so vicious and dysfunctional, and it's really hard to show that love. But with our family members, we want them to know that we love them. So those are some really good points, Keely, and I'm sure that was difficult for you. And where you're able to stick to those boundaries with your sister?
Pretty well. I do sometimes turn on my like social work and a little more social work than sister, but for the most part, I'm sister. So.
And I'm curious, do all of us are going through this program, are you finding yourself speaking like a social worker sometimes and driving your family nuts? Joey, you had mentioned in the last class about your mom saying to stop being a social worker. You finding that happens from time to time?
Yeah, like I think like the funny thing about that though, like corny alert, I'm letting you know it's about to be corny as hell. I've always been a social worker before I became into this program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always just been naturally who I am to like want to help people work through their problems. But that being said, like I'm getting better like education and better like guidance on like how to do that. So it's like coming off a little bit more professional. So it's like kind of like where my mom's like just wanting to tell me about a bad day or something. And one thing you'll know about me, I'm a mama's boy. So like she's my best friend. So like we talk a lot. So she'll be telling me about a bad day or something like that. And then like I'll be like dissecting it and like trying to tell her like what to do and what she like where she took a left or she should have been going right and stuff like that. And she's like, dude, you just gotta stop. You just gotta listen right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'll try.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for putting me in my place, Mom.
Yeah, right.
That's a good example. So.
I actually run into that same thing with my husband. He'll be talking to me about work and I'll start, going into my little spiel and he's like, I need you to stop talking to me like a client right now. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to say, I've heard the same words out of my husband's mouth. I am not one of your clients. Like, oh, right. Okay. Well, you're acting like one. So I thank you all for sharing and for being willing to be so vulnerable in this this group. But I'm glad that that it is a safe place that we can share our fears and our excitement, our thoughts and plans with one another without fear of being judged. Is there anything that any of you need to talk about, concerns with maybe schoolwork or a project or anything before we end tonight?
Does anyone else feel like it's kind of like the calm before the storm? Like we haven't had like any huge projects or anything like due yet. Like we've had one test in policy that was pretty tough, but like I feel like in 2 weeks we're really going to have to help each other out because I feel the storm is coming. Like I keep looking at the dates and the deadlines and it's like there's like a week or 2 weeks where it's like everything is due and I'm just like, why can't they space this out?
Right.
Like why can't they just put all their like assignments on a big calendar and like, no, like let's move this one to this date or this one to this date. Like I just feel like we're like in the calm before the storm, like, oh, everything's going smooth. And then like a week or two from now, it's just like shit's about to hit the fan.
I actually feel like I'm in the middle of the eye of the storm right now because
Yeah.
I'm seeing these deadlines and I'm starting on these papers and I'm confused about them. And so I'm right in the middle of a storm and I'm like being tossed in the waves and it's not pretty.
Like that first half of March is just like overwhelming.
Yeah.
It is. And yeah, my daughter comes home March 2nd.
Oh.
And I'm just like, I hope I have time to visit with you. Because I got papers due. So it's a lot. So
instead of boarding my windows to like protect my house, I'm gonna be like boarding my windows to keep myself in so that I could sit down and buckle up and
no distraction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I spent the weekend home alone while my husband went to our cabin and went fishing and had all this fun. I'm like, I've got to study, the martyr attitude. And yeah, I put in probably Saturday and Sunday, 26, 27 hours total of studying.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How are you managing personal life right now?
Not well. Not well. I have no life. No, but my dog just follows me around. I just move the dog bed from one place to another so he can sleep by me.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I know I've been talking a lot tonight, but one thing I think we should do to end this group, I'm not saying we need to end group now, but something to think about is give ourselves a goal, each one goal of how we're going to do some personal care this week. What's that? Everyone says it, and I've never heard of it until I got into this program. Self-care or something along those lines. I think we should all set one goal of how we're going to practice some self-care this week and then tell each other next week how we went about doing that.
I think that's a fabulous idea, Joey. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And I will certainly come up with something for me to share with the group next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All kinds of possibilities. I'll have to think about that one. So thank you. Everybody feeling okay? Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
You're just going to stop recording.